1 minute to the show.
No, it's not that I have any. No, I like electric bikes. I think it's a great way to get other people involved in the sport. But why somebody would build an 80 horsepower, $12,000 bike, I don't know. It's way more powerful than a four-stroke. I, I'm not really sure because they had the Alta and a few others came in dribs and drabs and they were gone. So maybe this company thinks that it's more horsepower. So I don't know. I think if they made a bike that was a little more manageable, like the power of a 250 and the right price and the battery lasted a long time then, but 80, that's insane. The bike weighs like 230 pounds and it's 80 horsepower. The show's about to begin.
You're live.
On tonight's show, let's get down to the starting line, brought to you by Motion Pro, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what you are going to see. In the next time tried this segment, we'll talk about dowel pins, how to get them out with the proper tool, and if you don't have the proper tool, you're still going to be able to get them out. In the Moto Showcase, a 1974 Suzuki TM125 that was sent in to us by Dick Lotz. I'm looking forward to bringing you that. Here's the problem. We've got some good questions. We've got a follow-up, in fact, on a Yamalube or Yamabond question from last week. Got a couple of things going on there. Just how I see it. 9,500, well, we'll talk about that, and I'll tell you just how I see that. What's it worth? Got a 1973 Hodaka Combat Wombat that recently sold on eBay. We've got all that, a lot more coming up on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Good evening, everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. I'm Joe Abadi. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you, Jordan, Chelsea, and Susie for helping me put the show together tonight. And thank you, the viewers at home who are joining us. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, don't forget to comment Motion Pro. We will have a random share giveaway winner a little bit later on in the show. The winner will get a beautiful sticker sheet like this, compliments of Vintco. So keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You can see all of our shows from Vintage Motocross Q&A and listen to all of our interviews. And when you do subscribe, you'll get a little alert just like this. Tells you when we're live. This way you won't miss one exciting minute of Vintage Motocross Q&A. And as you know, how the pros are watching the show. They're watching it on the big screen TV, commenting through their phone. So get back on your couch. You can watch it on your big screen TV in HD, comment on your phone, and you can still win prizes like that sticker sheet from Vintco and a whole bunch of other stuff that we've got coming up here on the show tonight. We appreciate you sending in your bikes for the Moto Showcase, your questions. Please continue sending in everything you can or anything you might want to see on the show. I'm also going to be asking some people very, very shortly to start making some videos for us again, where we can get them edited and have them on the show and feature some of your ideas and some of the tricks and tips that you're doing in your shop. So stay in touch with us through email, on Facebook. We'd like to hear from you as we always do. electronics, those circles, racing, motorized television, sometimes glass, of course, those bikes.
I'd like to discuss with you dowels. Where are they? They're in the clutch cover usually like this. You see it on the end like that. It's there to hold the gasket. But sometimes you have to get them out. Let's get a closer look. Dowel pins can generally be found on clutch covers mostly, although sometimes you will find them on center cases as well. It looks just like this. The purpose of it is to make sure that the cases either align correctly, or when you go to put gaskets on your bike, it holds the gasket in place just like that, so the gasket doesn't shift around when you go to put your screws in. Now, sometimes these little dowel pins will stay inside the case, and if that's the matter, you can use a little tool just like this, and it works like a little slap hammer. They're really easy to use, and I'll give you a little example of exactly how it works. They come in different sizes. You put it over the dowel pin just like this, and what you do is take a little T-handle and you can tighten them up so it fits snugly around that dowel pin. Once you get it nice and tight on there, and they come right out just like that. The reason why many times these will stick into that hole is because of galvanic corrosion through dissimilar metals. What does that exactly mean in layman's term? This piece is steel, this piece is aluminum or magnesium. The steel will rust. It'll begin to eat into the magnesium or into the aluminum. Much like when your forks rust on your bike, when you run your finger over it, it has that nick. It doesn't necessarily just pit, but it starts to corrode, and that's why sometimes they'll stick in there or stick into the cases of your bike. Now, what if you don't have one of these dowel pin sets? Well, I'm going to give you another little tip right here, and it's got something that you can use at home. Guaranteed you have these little tools. This is a punch, and as you can see, it's tapered. You can put that punch right down in that dowel. Make sure it's down there good and secure. Get a pair of pliers and gently twist it out just like this, and it comes right out. Now, why did I do that? Why didn't I just take the pliers and go right over it and pull it out? Because these little dowel pins are very, very thin. What's going to happen is if you go to grab it with a pair of pliers like this and you go to take it out of there, you're definitely going to bend it. It's going to get flattened out. You're not going to be able to get it straightened out again and get it back in that hole. And you need it there in order to keep this cover straight on the bike and also hold your gasket in place. Generally, as I mentioned, these pins usually go in the case first and not in the side cover, but sometimes they come out in the clutch cover as well.
The next time try. This segment is, of course, brought to you by Vinco. Now on to the Moto Showcase. In tonight's Moto Showcase, we've got a 1974 Suzuki TM125 that was sent to us by Dick Lotz. As we go through the slides with Jordan, I'll read to you a little bit more about what Dick tells me about the bike. Hi, Joe. I purchased a 1974 TM125 in the spring. I had to sell my original one that I had back in 74, 75 to get money together to go to college. For the next 40 years, all I kept thinking about was finding another Suzuki TM125. I couldn't find anything reasonably close. I received a call in February of 2020 from a close friend that had one for sale about an hour and a half away from me. When I first laid eyes on the bike, memories came flooding back. After buying it and doing a number of things on it, I began riding it several times a week. I learned a lot of things repairing and restoring this bike from great folks like you. The bike is my prized possession. Now I'm restoring a 1978.5 RM250 with a 1976 engine. I should be done with that this winter. This has been a wonderful life experience for me, north of 60 years old. It has no lean shocks, DG head, Weissfield piston rental vintage high bars, and some extenders on those bars due to my height. I purchased this bike near Canton, Ohio. I'm in North Lima, south of Youngstown. If you need any more information about the next bike I'm going to restore, let me know. I'd love to have you feature it on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Well, Dick Latz. Oh, we also got a video of Dick's bike running here. Jordan, can we hear that video? Dick Lots for sending that bike in. We are going to send you a mug just like this, compliments of Vintage Motocross Q&A and Preston Petty products. So you get us your address and we're going to get you a nice mug just like this. Preston Petty Products this week has a special. They got a fenders and jersey. That's 2 fenders. And they come in other colors too, not just red. So I think it's red, yellow, white. They've got them in translucent, gray, or silver, black. Anyway, 2 fenders and a jersey for just $139.95. Get a hold of Paul Stannard. And they are still looking for dealers. You want to become a dealer for Preston Petty Products? Now's a good time to get a hold of Paul Stannard, and he will get you hooked up. Paul Stannard, Preston Petty Products. Thanks for all you do for us here on the show. In the Here's a Problem segment tonight, which is brought to you by Motion Pro, we're going to take a look at a couple of different things. Number one, I want to follow up on something that happened last week. It involved Jeff Kokoski, and he was talking about Yamabond. Now, I've got something here that he wrote. It was a little long, so I couldn't get it all on the screen for a slide, but I want to read what Jeff had to wrote. There was a question last week on your show about gaskets and using or not using case sealer. It reminded me that I needed to buy some Yamabond, but you correctly had on the show, Joe, that when putting cases together, you should use Yamabond number 4. There are also Yamabonds number 5 and number 6, and I thought you should mention to your viewers exactly what those are used for. And I think it's a good idea too, Jeff, because if somebody goes out there and buys something, you want to make sure they get the right product. Yamabond number 4, silicone-based liquid gasket, fills in gaps on flange surfaces and prevents leaks. In other words, like center cases, okay? It would be good for that. Yamabond number 5 has a thin elastic film. It's excellent sealing properties after you apply it, and it dries rather quickly. It works effectively for joint surfaces that vibrate heavily. In other words, you might want to use this on your intake manifold in front of your carburetor, where your intake manifold connects to your cylinder. That's a high vibration area, so you might want to use Yamabond 5 there. Yamabond 4, where there's a real close fit, close tolerance, like on your flanges or around your center case. And of course, there's Yamabond number 6. This works effectively on a joint surfaces that have a larger clearance. This is where you'd want to use number 6, probably around where your exhaust pipe fits into the flange at the front of your engine. So yeah, Jeff, it was a good point that you brought up. I did have it correct on the show last week, but there is a 4, a 5, and a 6 Yamabond, and they are applicable in different places. And if people are out there buying that stuff, well, you want to make sure you get the right one. Jeff, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Dave Rhodes, I have an opportunity to buy a 1975 TM400 Suzuki. Unfortunately, the cases are broken. Well, 1975 TS400 cases work. Believe it or not, David, they do. I did a little research on this, and they're exactly the same. I've heard, although I don't know this, they said the gears are the same, the clutches are the same, everything's the same. I don't think the gear ratio would be the same for a TS400 Apache as a TM400, but who knows? Maybe they are. The only difference you're going to find in the cases is that there is a area for the tachometer cable to go into the cases on the TS400. Other than that, the cases are absolutely identical, and yeah, you can use those cases for your TM400. Interesting question. Ron Milner, I recently saw pictures of the 1974 Honda CR250 restored. How did you get the lower fork legs to look so original and nice? Well, I start off by vapor blasting them and get off all the old clear. Then I sand them, and I then polish them, and I look closely for any nicks and scratches. Those are all sanded out. After those are sanded out, I repolish them. I apply a brush finish. And I've shown that on the show, and I have some videos on that as well. But I think you were a little bit more concerned about, or you were asking me more about, how did I get it to shine the way they did? Some people use clear powder coating on them. I don't think that's a really good idea. What I use is a product, I have it here. Here it is. It's called Max 2000, and it's got the port number on it, 3600061. This stuff is great. You can buy it on eBay. It's a little expensive, about 16 or 17 bucks for a can, and it's got a hard number. So it's going to plug on the bottom, the option button, the shape, and you need to heat it up. Otherwise, you're not going to get it very get ready to go, because you'll have it running enough to do two fork legs like that. When you do that in one fork legs, make sure you not only wipe everything down, but wipe everything down with alcohol and some clean, soft towels. With paper towels, you want want to make sure everything is spotless, no fingerprints, nothing on there once you put this clear on there, because it does a beautiful job, but you see absolutely everything that is underneath that clear. It does a great job, and that's why this fork looks so good on Milner. Thank you for the question.
I'm Doug Grant. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
Hi, Jeff here, introducing you to Motion Pro's magnetic pickup tool today. Now, we've all had that bad experience where we drop a loose part or fastener into a hard to reach place like a skid plate or belly pan. Well, this is the right tool for the job that will retrieve that stubborn part and get you back to working on your ride. As for the features of the magnetic pickup tool, first you have this billet aluminum handle. There's a low profile magnetic tip that's extremely strong and in fact will even pick up a Motion Pro T handle. This flexible shaft can get into hard to reach places and with its protective coating won't damage the finish on your motorcycle. The magnetic pickup tool is affordably priced at $14.99 and is available from your favorite power sports dealer nationwide. So avoid future frustration and pick one up for yourself today.
In the What's It Worth segment tonight, we're going to take a look at a 1973 Hodaka Combat Wombat. This bike recently sold in Arizona, and it was sold just about a week ago, early December. It is a 1973. I didn't realize they only made this bike for 1 year. This is, of course, the segment of the show where we like you to give your best guess on what you think this bike recently sold for. So while Jordan goes through the slides, I'll read to you a little bit more about the bike. Rare, 1 year only, 1973, 125 Combat Wombat in very good running condition. It has a clear title in Arizona. This is a unique chance to own this cool little vintage two-stroke that are getting hard to find in this condition. This was purchased from the original owner's estate. The title comes as a 1974, and it was registered in January, but on the head of the bike, it does say 1973, and it's manufactured in 1973. I believe it is in 1973 as well. The engine number on the frame have been verified as a 73 Combat Wombat. Anyway, the bike's very original. From what I can tell, it includes the original carburetor, airbox, exhaust, as well as many other parts. In addition to the title, a list of parts the original owner bought, as well as the owner's manual, is included in the sale of this bike. Also included are, no, that's it. All the extra parts or anything that he bought for it. The exhaust has no rust. It's in excellent condition. The gas tank has no dents or dings. There are some wear spots on it. There are no rips or tears in the seat. There's a small crack near where the chain travels at the top of the engine case, but it does not affect the performance. The chrome fenders are in great condition. The tires are wonderful as well. Pretty forthcoming description there. The bike was in Arizona. What do you think the bike sold for? It is very, very original. Definitely not restored. All original parts in that bike. How much? 1 year only bike. 4,000? 4,500? 25. This bike sold for $3,000. $3,000, not bad for a Combat Wombat 125 in original condition like that with a title in Arizona. How close did you get without going over? Even if you went over. Full circle. They still got a great special going on for powder coating your hubs. They will powder coat them either in gloss back or satin black for just $50 a hub. For $20 more, you can get a custom color. For just $10 more, you can get the brake plates done as well. Get a hold of Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing, and he will hook you up with everything you need for your race bike, whether it's a vintage bike or a modern bike or street bike or enduro, whatever it is. If it's got spokes, Tom McAllister is going to be able to help you out. Get a hold of him at Full Circle Racing. Have you ever heard of a Gorelli? Gorelli, very unusual bike, made in Italy. Jordan? In 1919, Gorelli constructed a 350cc motorcycle, which set a long-distance record from Milan to Naples. Rider Ettore Girardi covered 520 miles at an average speed of 24 miles an hour. Many famous Italian racers such as Ernesto Nessa, Tazio Nuvolari, and Achille Varzi began their racing careers on a Gorelli motorcycle. The Gorelli 350cc split single stayed in production until 1926 and made a major impact on racing. The company also produced motorcycles for the Royal Italian Army. After World War II, Gorelli started to concentrate more on making smaller production bikes for the European market. In 1970, Gurley produced a bike called the Tiger Cross MK1, which is an off-road two-stroke enduro motorcycle. The Tiger Cross was produced up until 1976. The motorcycle was painted black and yellow. In 2019, in the centenary year of the foundation of the company, the brand returned to the market with a fully electric bike called a Cyclone. They also make a Cyclone Sika. Anyway, in collaboration, they did this with Marco Simonicelli Foundation. Gurley set 8 world long-distance records with their bikes between November 3rd, 1953, and went on to do that a bunch of times. It was incredible how many land speed records they had and endurance records. In 1980, they dominated the 125cc class in GPs, winning 6 consecutive world championships between 1982 and 1987. So, have you ever heard of a Gurley? Well, you have heard of them now. And they even went on to build outboard engines. There you see them at their factory, just oodles of outboard boat engines. Probably using them up there in Venice. This segment is, of course, sponsored by Sunrise Vapor Blasting. You hear me talking about some wonderful things that Mark Ferriester does every week, and if it floats, flies, or rolls, Mark Ferriester will get it as clean as new, probably cleaner. I sent him lots of parts, and a lot of people are doing the same. Now, I was speaking to Mark earlier this week. He tells me that to do a carburetor, to make it beautiful like that, it's only about 25 bucks. Can't be much to ship a carburetor. So put it in a little box, get it over to Mark Ferriester, and for about $25, you're going to get back something that is absolutely perfect. I use them on my restorations. I use them on race bikes when I want to get them really, really clean. Get a hold of Mark Ferriester, Sunrise Vapor Blasting, Modesto, California. Great turnaround time and prices that are really, really incredible. Thank you, Mark, for all you do for us here on the show. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will have tonight's random share giveaway winner. We'll be right back.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vinco knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vinco, keep the ride going.
Welcome back, and as promised, we have a random share giveaway winner, and that is Jim Schultz. Jim Schultz, you are tonight's random share giveaway winner. Get a hold of me, give me your mailing address, and we'll get you a beautiful sticker sheet just like this, compliments of Vinco.com. Jim Schultz, hope you're still watching. Get me your address. Just how I see the segment tonight. Last week we were talking about, or I was telling you just how I saw a certain subject. It was a 1973 Honda CR250. Asking price was $7,500, and it was claimed to be, and very possibly was, the second Elsinore released in America. Well, I saw something else in the past week, and it kind of got me thinking again. I saw this 1981 Honda CR250 for $9,500. Now, the bike did appear to be original in the description of the bike, and it's still for sale. The owner said that it never had been repainted, but the tires were changed, so were the sprockets and chain. $9,500 for a 1981 Honda CR250, which was not really the high watermark of great bikes for Honda, I think is a bit much. It was the first year of the single shock. It was the first year of water cooling for the Honda. $9,500 is a bit much. Now, don't get me wrong. A person is entitled to ask whatever they want for their bike, but you are going to get some static from the people who see it for sale. Why do I think this is happening? I think it's happening because of stimulus money. To be honest with you, we've seen this been going on for the past year or so. People are getting checks while they're still working. They're getting stimulus money. They're having businesses that shut down, but they're still doing other things, and money is still coming in. And I think there's some disposable income out there, and people see that. And as prices escalate a little bit at a time, eventually it gets to a point of where somebody thinks that an 81 Honda is worth $9,500. It's not, and stimulus money is just about over. I think it's time that the vintage market get back down to reality and realize that certain bikes just will never be worth that price. And that's just how I see it. This week in the next history is brought to you by Racer X Magazine. Online and on the newsstand now, Racer X. Don't forget to see our ad every issue. Dave Bickers said he was going to make it, and in the end, Dave Bickers didn't make it either. So, when Bickers failed to show up, Bailey just had to keep running the race. He had all Americans. In fact, he won 2 classes that day. But they had to take out a little ad in Cycle News the next week and put a very humbling apology in there about why there were no international riders at that race back in 1969. 1974, Motobike Mike. I don't know if you remember this. Anyway, the hot ticket that Christmas, every kid wanted one, was the Motobike. And it was a really great little bicycle, unlike anything that we had really seen before. It came with shocks, it came with forks on it, and took a lot of styling cues from the actual dirt bikes that Yamaha was making at the time. The bike only cost a couple of $100, and unfortunately, with all the styling cues with the shocks and the forks of the actual motorcycle, the bike weighed in at some incredible weight. It was quite heavy. It was never really competitive. And it was only a short time after that. I think it only ran until early 1976. And then they no longer made the Motobike. If you see them for sale today, even if they're in decent shape, not even perfect, they could still go for about $1,000. I've seen them that have been either perfectly original, really collector quality stuff, and they can sell for between $1,700 and $2,000. And while I'm doing this right now, it made me think Motobike Mike was the ad that Yamaha took out in the magazines. And it was like a little cartoon, and they showed this guy ripping around a BMX track. Do you remember Motobike Mike's arch nemesis, the guy he would beat every month in the magazine when they talked about the motorbike? Type it in the comment section. Motobike Mike, and who was the bad guy? See if you remember. Anyway, that was that. 1985. Happy birthday, James Bubba Stewart. I think it's today. The 22nd is James Stewart's birthday. James Stewart, born on this day in Florida, he will become arguably the fastest mini cycle racer of all time and turned pro exactly 13 days after his 16th birthday. He enters his first pro motocross race, the 2002 Anaheim 125 Supercross, as a factory rider, and he finished second that day. A week later in San Diego, he becomes the first winner and to this day remains the youngest winner in 125 250 Supercross at 16 years, 20 days. Now, I don't know about that because I think Marty Tripes was the winner of the first ever Super Bowl of motocross, and that was in 1972. And Marty Tripes he was younger by 10 days, I think. I think he was younger by 10 days, but maybe it wasn't well, it definitely wasn't on a 125. But I still think Tripes was still the youngest rider to win a professional race at 16 years old and 10 days. And Stewart was 20 days, 16 and 20 days. Either way, happy birthday, James Stewart. We've got some announcements tonight. Announcements are brought to you by Bill's Pipes. Jordan, what do we have up first? Oh, we're actually going to talk about Bill's Pipes. Check out Bill's Pipes online on Facebook. That's where you're going to see most of their products. They've got a lot of pictures on their page. All their contact information is on there as well. So if it's phone numbers or emails, or if you want to see them over on Instagram, they've got their Instagram information over there as well. They do show a pipe for a Mako here on their Facebook page, also a silencer. I don't know how far back they would be going with the vintage pipes, but I know Bill's Pipes is making a quality pipe at this time for a lot of different bikes. So check them out on Facebook. Thanks, Randy Scott. The Potomac Vintage Riders right around the corner, exactly a month away. There is a swap meet and a bike show that happens on the 23rd on Sunday. The night before, the Potomac Vintage Riders has their year-end banquet. So that will be happening on Saturday night. But on Sunday, the York swap meet in York, Pennsylvania at the York Fairgrounds. It is inside. And it's a good thing that it is because it gets kind of cold out there in York, Pennsylvania in the middle of winter. So join us on Sunday, January 23rd. And I say us because I will be there. I will be one of the judges in the bike show. I'm going to have a little booth set up there, and I'd love to meet some of the people that I haven't gotten a chance to talk to before in person at the York swap meet. Thank you, Bill Nazelrod, Tom Grimmel, everybody at PVR. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas tonight, too. Got a nice little flying Merkle there. Santa Claus would be real pleased riding that. So wherever you are in the world, it's Christmas just a couple of days away. Have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas. Now we'll get to the finish line, which is brought to you by Northwest Mako CZ. This week's special is a CZ rear brake plate. Beautiful. It's billet. It's just about unbreakable, and it's only $134.95 at Northwest Mako CZ. Vintage Motocross Q&A. T-shirts and hoodies are still available. Follow the link in the show description. T-shirts are gray and white. They're just $19.99. For just a few bucks more, you can get yourself a hoodie. I know you can get one in time for Christmas, but it's never a bad time to get a Vintage Motocross Q&A T-shirt or hoodie. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are available. You heard me announce last week that we hit close to 90,000 people a month, over 20,000 a week, people sharing the show like crazy. Get a hold of me for a sponsorship opportunity or a sponsorship proposal package, and we'll get you on the show here. You'll be seeing the same results as Vinco, Motion Pro, Preston Petty, Full Circle Racing, and everybody else that helps out here on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Believe me, you can't hit 90,000 people a month just having a Facebook page by yourself. There's no way. Get a hold of me. That wraps it up for tonight's episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. I want to remind everyone again that Jim Schultz was the random share giveaway winner. Jim Schultz, get a hold of me. Get me your address. I will get you out that beautiful sticker sheet, compliments of Vinco. We are going to be giving away another copy of Racer X magazine coming in January. We're also going to be giving away another copy of VMX. Great magazines. Everybody loves them. We're going to be doing some kind of random share thing, or maybe we'll do something with the YouTube channel again. Either way, I want to thank everybody for watching the show, and I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. We'll see you before New Year, and happy holidays to everyone. Thanks for watching. Q&A. Gino and Rocco! Can you guys make it or what? Rocco? Gino! Okay, guys.